Knowing your purpose. Years ago, I'm not even sure how many years ago it was, my mentor and I had a conversation. And he was a musician, but he was also a minister. And he was a community leader and activist. And I mean, he did so many things. It's hard to even wrap him up in one description or one phrase or whatever. But anyway, the point is, we had a conversation. And I was kind of surprised that he even pursued me to get me into his classes and kind of bring me into his circle the way he did, because it just didn't, to me, make any sense. Like, he met me, he saw me perform, and he got my number from performing and was constantly inviting me to things where I could be enlightened and instructed, and my mindset could be challenged. And then it went from there to a more personal level of him really having conversations with me about all kinds of different things. But the point is, I was like, why? Why did you do this? And his answer was, because you are a poet, and you're not just any poet. You are a poet in the sense of the way poets were when we were back in villages. And he said, we didn't call them poets then, we call them griots. And the griot kept the history of the tribe. The griot knew the history of the tribe, who was born from who, and who inherited what, and what wars had been won, and who was a hero in the tribe, and who had a lesson that we needed to learn because they failed in some way. And these griots were the conscience of the tribe. So when the tribe was veering off center and wasn't grounded in who they were supposed to be, they would bring in the griot, and the griot would speak what needed to be said at the moment. And he said, so your poetry that you pair with the things that you say is history, it's medicine, it's encouragement, it's challenge, it's redirection, it's rebuke. It's all of the things that the griots in our villages did. And you have that mantle, you have that calling, you have that purpose. And then he would always say this to so many different people. He said, an orange tree doesn't produce fruit for itself. It produces fruit for anyone who walks by and needs that fruit. And all the orange tree takes from that person that walks by is their carbon dioxide. And that orange tree takes that carbon dioxide and recycles it and puts oxygen back out into the air, and uses that person's waste, in a sense, that person's baggage, in the sense, that person's, exhalation, to fuel its own ability to grow and produce its fruit. And so after that, sometime after that, I don't know exactly when, I began to call myself an alchemist, because that was part of what he was saying, alchemizing that carbon dioxide into oxygen, taking something that was toxic and making it into something positive. And I'm saying all of this to say that when you know your purpose, for me, a transformation happened, because when I knew what my purpose was, and that purpose was confirmed to me in so many ways, I can't even tell you how many times a version of that message has come to me from different people, from different situations, from things that I've read, from dreams that I've had. Just it's happened over and over again. So it wasn't just him saying it, but he was the one who really went in depth with it. But when you know your purpose, then certain things that happen, like criticism or misunderstandings or rejection, they really just don't have the same effect, because I know, I know that I was put here to be an irritant in a sense and an encouragement, to have both sides, to have the duality. And so, one of the things that I get accused of is putting out things that are divisive. And my response, if I respond, is usually, you can't fix a problem until you see it. And you can't see it until somebody brings it out and shines a light on it. Because everything that I mention when I post, when I drop videos, when I do poetry, it existed long before I came along. If there's an issue between the genders, if there's an issue between, the races, if there's a political issue, an economic issue, a social issue, it is probably decades, hundreds of years long, even thousands of years long. It was not created by me. I didn't make it up. It has existed long before me. And all I am doing is using my artist eye, using that griot within me to alchemize it so that it can become medicine or encouragement or challenge or wisdom. And everybody is not going to like that message. Everybody isn't going to embrace that message. And it's only for those who it's for. I remember there was a staff development I went to by a woman named Jill Awful. And of course, she was talking to teachers, and she said, Jesus had 12 disciples, and one of them betrayed him. So don't expect that every one of your students is going to appreciate your message or even see your message as vital and important, because one of them could be a Judas, and one of them could be actively working to, undermine you, be disappointed in what you're doing, not agree with what you're doing, think you should do it differently. Anyway, just not be on the program with you at all, And that's the Son of God. That's, if you believe that, that's the Son of God. That's the Messiah. That's the only perfect man, if you believe that. So if he had a Judas out of his 12, if I have way more than 12, then I should probably expect at least one in every 12 of my followers, one in every 12 of my commenters, one in every 12 of my